Protectors of the Grid. Chapter 3. Ben was excited and also extremely nervous as he waited with the crowd outside the security barrier for his cousin to appear. How many years has it been? How different will she look? And what if she can't help me? He roped that thought and pulled it into a dark corner of his mind. Tara felt tingles run up and down her limbs as she waited for the impatient passengers who jumped out into the aisle of the plane to move through like a herd of cattle through the chute. The sensation crawled in erratic patterns across her skin, different from the excitement-anxiety that emanated from her thoughts. Okay, so this whole thing could be part of something bigger. Much bigger. What if it's beyond me and I can't really help Ben? What if what Ben wants is outside the scope of what I'm willing to do? She pulled her attention away from those thoughts. This was going to be an interesting process. Ben spotted her right away. Actually, he felt her before he saw her, that familiar energy that attracted his attention, so that when she actually came into view, he was waving to get her attention. Tara walked toward him, smiling, though her eyes looked tired and a little wary. How would they be together after all the years and experiences since they'd spent time together? Most importantly, would his attitude towards spiritual realities have really changed? Still, she walked straight into the arms he spread wide in welcome, feeling his relief that she was there. She noticed that his field felt pretty clean, nothing dark or scary was obvious. The hug lasted a full half-minute before Ben stepped back, his hands still on her shoulders. "I'm starving. Are you ready for that decadently divine dinner I promised you?" "Lead me to it, darlin'," she responded with a grin. The view was spectacular. The restaurant he had chosen sat on a bluff above the harbor where they could see the graceful arc of the bridge and the lights of San Diego lining the curve of the shore. Against the blackness of the sea, she could see the lights of ships from the naval station, as well as private boats moving in and out of the yacht club. She sighed. She could already feel the energy flowing into her from the ocean, just as it always did. Lack of that energy was one of the challenges she had while living in a landlocked city. It was so good to be back on the West Coast. Tara looked up to find Ben watching her. She turned to face him fully and gazed directly, without flinching, into the questions in his eyes. "So, you're really in a jam here, darlin'. How did this happen?" She watched the play of conflicting emotion across his face. She softened her own energetic edges to feel his inside. His energy field was seriously drained, and now that she could look closer, she saw the tinge of gray in his face and the droop of despair around his eyes. Her heart softened even more. "'Cuz?" Ben had drifted into another world, too, and now brought his attention back to his trusted friend, who just happened to be a blood cousin. Ben took a deep breath and reached for his wine glass. Lifting it toward Tara, he whispered, "To life, to hope, to us." Tara, too, lifted her glass to clink against his, then took a sip. Ben tossed back everything in his glass, then sat it down carefully. "Kachi and I go way back, as you know. He's practically full-blood Choctaw, as much as anybody can be nowadays, and on school breaks he would take me with him to the res. I've always loved the outdoors, and being with Kachi, I felt everything more, well, clearly. Intensely, maybe. I felt more alive. I also felt a little bit odd man out, 'cause Kachi took me way deep into the lands to his grandfather's place. I was, of course, the only white guy there, and while they were hospitable, when they started those weird ceremonies, I always got out of there. Kind of like when you came upon me doing my weird stuff?" Ben's nod was slight and a little embarrassed. "Yeah. I won't describe my thoughts at those times, but they would not make you feel good. I certainly didn't want to insult Kachi's people, but as much as I loved him and them too, I couldn't believe that in these modern times, especially since none of it seemed to work. Sure hasn't been that useful protecting the native people from the white man." The waiter was gently sliding a couple of luscious salads in front of them. Ben leaned back. "Let's cut to the chase, and I'll fill in details later. Somehow, this tribal spiritual stuff can connect with silicon chips, software, and energy beams, and that became Cybershark." He paused and reached for Tara's hand, his fingers barely touching hers, seeking comfort. "The prototypes work. It's impressive enough that the venture capitalists were all over it, but there's a glitch taking it from the model to magnitude, some connection with human energy and intention. What does all this have to do with me, Ben? Tara's words were gentle, as she could see the strain he was under. But she had to ask. Tara, this whole effing thing, my integrity, my business career, my life, for Christ's sake, has been so hard. I'm angry and ashamed of myself that I refused to look at my attitude toward you, toward Kachi. Even when I could see how what you were doing helped you live, I wanted to discount it. Just not my thing. For Christ's sake, you said. That could be more true than you know, Ben. Christ worked with energy, vibration, and human consciousness and performed miracles. Indigenous spiritual traditions do the same thing. Actually, churches do the same thing, too. Ceremonies in any language connect us to the divine mind. It's just that the dogma that dominates many churches diverts the power that Christ gave to everybody to send it only to those at the top, those who want control. But now we're getting heady and distant. Check me on this, but it seems to me that you have accepted that there is something, there, but you have no direct connection to it. Is this close? Ben tilted his head and closed his eyes for a moment, thinking. Yeah, pretty much. The grid worked for the prototypes, undeniably. I saw it. I felt some sensations that you will probably tell me are energy. I just don't connect the dots between what I feel and how it works with the grid. How do we get from point A to point B? The waiter removed the empty salad plates and slid in full dinner plates. The aromas of fresh salmon, lemon, butter, and capers wafted under their noses, making their mouths water and claiming their attention for a few moments. Tara cupped her hands around her plate and closed her eyes. When she looked up, Ben was watching her. I felt that, he said. Were you blessing your meal? Yes. The energy of gratitude actually changes the field of your food, removing any trauma a creature might go through as it gives you its flesh, its life force. Actually, that's true for plants as well. Everything on Earth conspires to support human life. Ben snorted. One could wonder why. Yes, one could, but it's a fact. The right mix of air for us to breathe, water to replenish our bodies that are themselves mostly water, sunshine for warmth and light. I could go on, but right now I want you to notice that you could feel the energy I was sending to my dinner. You have grown way more sensitive, or perhaps more aware of what you're sensing. How does that feel? Scary and uncomfortable. I don't know what to do with it. Ben actually squirmed in his chair. Tara laughed heartily, and Ben's face turned red, but he too smiled at his chagrin. Now it was her turn to reach across the table to touch his hand. Honey, there is nothing to be afraid of, except possibly finding yourself and rearranging your whole life. This is going to be fun. It's like the wild ride of Mr. Toad, except it's going to be the wild ride of Ben Boyce. We'll start tomorrow. Right now you have enough to chew on in addition to this salmon. It's delicious. Now let's relax and catch up. How's your mom?